Good evening. We are here for another speaker series this evening, and tonight we are talking about our Real World Learning Initiative. I am here with Christy Meeks, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Superintendent Paul Minching. Thanks for joining us this evening. So, first of all, how did we get involved with Real World Learning through the Kauffman Foundation?
So I was fortunate enough to attend a presentation with the Kauffman Foundation when they came to Cass County Economic Development meeting, and they started talking about their impact in other school districts, and it really sparked my interest on a region-wide initiative that will benefit all students and link students with employers. And so talked to other superintendents who were in the initiative, already engaged in that activity. It really, I thought this is good for kids, really good for kids, good for our community, good for our businesses. And so, yeah, that's really how it started.
So, we are part of this with the Kauffman Foundation, and we're in the third cohort.
Correct.
So, there's been 2 other years, basically, of people involved in it that have really taken it on in advance to kind of work out the kinks, maybe even,
Right.
before we are now in the 3rd year of
Right.
it. Okay, super. So, what is Real World Learning?
So we want to help prepare our students for the future by giving them real-world experiences and exposure, learning opportunities through their high school career.
Okay.
And so the goal is for not only the Kauffman Foundation, but for us, is by 2030, all students who graduate will have one market value asset, which we'll explain a little bit.
Yeah.
So that they are prepared for that future.
Excellent. Okay. So, speaking of what you just said, market value asset, we call that an MVA, correct? All right. So, what would that look like? What's a market value asset look like?
So there are 4 different categories and 5 market value assets. There's work experience, which could include client-connected projects, where a student is working with maybe an outside client on a project or a problem, trying to help them solve a problem. It could also include internships. And then we have college credits, which is 9 college credits, not just any college credits, but they want them to have 9 college.
To make one market value.
Correct.
Okay.
Industry recognized credentials, or IRCs, which is what most of our programs down at the Cass Career Center, students leave those programs earning an IRC.
Okay.
And then entrepreneurial experiences is the last one.
Okay. So, where kids create their own business.
Correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And what, Jill, what I really like about this relationship with Kauffman is that's not Harrisonville's definition of market value assets. Those 5 market value assets are targets for all the schools in the initiative. So the definition of saying college credit, 9 hours, that is the definition of that market value asset for all of those schools in that initiative. So when businesses tie in with schools who are part of that initiative, then they're going to know what the actual market value asset is, what that kid can actually do.
Right. So you talked about other schools. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but there are other schools in our area, in the Kansas City area, because this is Kansas. So can you give us some examples of some of the schools that are maybe ahead of us in the process?
Sure. So Belton and Ray-Peck are in cohort 1. But there's schools all around both sides of the border. So DeSoto, Kansas is a part of it. Blue Valley's a part of it. Park Hill, Platte City, Smithville are in the same cohort that we are.
Yep.
Independence is part of it. So it really, wide range of schools, sizes, but really Kansas City metro area.
Okay.
So.
Super. So, market value assets, and you mentioned college credit, which we already have students getting college credit, and IRCs, we already have students at Cass Career Center. So tell me more about some of the places where we already have things that fit with market value asset going on right now.
Yeah, so we have, through our Project Lead the Way classes, they are able to do some client-connected projects. One of them was working on the high school parking lot and trying to solve traffic flow through that. Also, through our communication department, you have an intern each year that works with you closely on communication. The Chamber of Commerce here in town takes on an intern. And also at the middle school, we have a career explorations class to help start that process of looking at the different, not only MVAs, but career pathways, and trying to get the interest level of the kids of, looking forward in the future, where do you want to dabble in and learn more about.
I know another MBA that we've talked about that we currently offer is through our life skills programs. You want to address those that we have going on?
So, starting as early as first, second, third grade, we have students at HES who are engaged with our orchard. That was a grant that was written by Dr. Falke 2 years ago, I believe. And so all the way up through gardening skills at the high school. We have our coffee shop at the high school. So we have students who are our special needs students who are really gaining those skills. They can be categorized as life experiences, but it's really entrepreneurship. So they're learning, hey, if I want to start my own business, I can take fruit. I can go to the market and sell it. If I want to be client connected project, if somebody comes to us with a proposal and says, hey, will you grow this crop, or whatever the case may be. It can be categorized as internship. So if they're in the coffee shop and they're interning in that role, so there's several market value assets. But it is a certain amount of time dedicated to that. It's not just, hey, I'm going to spend a day or two in that project. It is a lengthy project. It's really about defining their passion of what pathway. Christy talked about pathways, of what pathway those students want to obtain. And it is for all students. It's not just for one certain group or whatever. Eventually our goal is that it will be a graduation requirement that all students will graduate with at least one market value asset. Some things that we've identified is that with the students that currently obtain market value assets generally obtain more than one. The most common market value asset is the dual credit courses, the college credit courses. So that is not just Harrisonville School District, that's the data from Cohort 1, and we're starting to see that data come through from Cohort 1. The least utilized market value asset is entrepreneurship. And so we're fortunate, I feel like, in our district to have a lot of connections to people who have started their own business and have flourished. And so it's really a chance for us to tap into our community resources as well.
That'd be a great way to connect all our small businesses with our kids and moving forward, so that's great. Okay, so we talked about what we currently have. Tell me a little bit about, we've been talking about in our meetings about real world learning and some of the things we've done about the portrait of a graduate. What is that? What does that mean?
Sure. So we want to kind of identify some essential skills that we think all graduates should leave Harrisonville School District having. And so through community surveys, and then surveys to our kindergarten parents and also to our recent graduates, we were able to identify those 5 essential skills. And we identified them as consumer aptitude, critical thinker, cognitive flexibility, collaboration, and communication. And so we think these are the essential skills that they need to be successful in life. Sorry.
It's okay. You're fine. Fighting a little laryngitis there. But those, okay. So, and those skills are essential skills that we can incorporate K-12 as we move forward, so that we can work on those skills throughout, not just at the high school level.
Right, and the important part of that process really was the inclusion of kindergarten parents, and to see what is the vision that they have for their children, what are the important skills that they want their children to have years from now when they graduate, and also graduates reflecting on the skills that they felt were necessary to prepare them. So just a compilation of all those, plus our community survey as a whole, what do just general business owners, general parents, general community members feel like are important skills for students to be employable and contributing members of a great community.
Yeah. Okay, so moving forward with the Real World Learning Initiative, what are our primary goals as we move forward?
Okay, well, first and foremost, we want our students to all graduate with that market value asset, or at least one, by 2030 to meet the Kauffman. I think we can do that quicker. So part of our background information was to identify, first of all, what students have already obtained a market value asset. So it's a measurable goal that we have each year. We'll be able to identify those students each year and see, hopefully, that number is growing. We also have to increase those opportunities. So IRCs, exploring additional IRCs. I know we're adding a career opportunity with our teacher program at the Career Center next year. So that's one IRC that we'll be able to add. And then we also have to identify the pathways for students to get there. And so, we a little bit with the middle school process for the career explorations, we kind of built the airplane while we were flying. So we'll be able to go back and reflect on what we did this year, and then how to get every student through that program, so that they will be able to just explore what career opportunities are out there. So then they'll do the aptitude tests and determine, hey, I really like this, or I like this, and then from there we can do some career planning and start early on in the high school process of, hey, this is a pathway I'd like to explore. But we have to be flexible too, so that students they're not just stuck in one pathway.
Right.
They have options, because I know that is a concern for a lot of students. Just my conversations with my own son and other students, hey, I want some flexibility, because what I wanted to do as a freshman may change by the time I'm a senior and so forth. So we want to identify the pathways but still have that flexibility, not be so rigid. So those are important. We also want to increase our client-connected projects. So that's really where we need to have that business relationship with the community, so that I have had frequent conversations with business owners who are like, hey, can I get an intern, or I've got this project, can you help me out? And we have pockets of that, but just expanding those opportunities for kids and business owners in our community, I think is really important where we want to go. So.
Yeah, that'll be great opportunity for everyone.
Right.
I mean, everyone can benefit from, our students benefit from the experience, and our businesses benefit from having their problems solved, or whatever it is that they're needing from us. So you hit on some of the things for next year. We're also going to be doing some professional development for teachers, so that they have the knowledge and the tools they need moving forward. And we did talk about the essential skills in the Portrait of a Graduate, kind of looking at that K-12 and how we can incorporate that with all kids. Tell me a little bit about the grant itself. Like because we talk about real world learning in that initiative, but it's a grant.
Right.
So can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. So the first part of the grant process was just to establish the baseline data. So how many students have the market value assets? Okay, so we did that. Other pieces of data that we look at so that we can measure our growth. And then we had a few people that made a presentation, a pitch to the Kauffman Foundation about what our ideas are, and then they come back and what we need the money for, in essence. And so they come back and will tell us in June if we're funded for that, which I fully anticipate we will be. But part of that design process is we had a design team that had members of the community as well as school people on that. So we had a member of the Chamber of Commerce, we had a couple of business owners who were just very important pieces of that process. So we'll continue to use that design team plus a high school action team to see how that we can funnel those pathways and make sure that we're clear on what those pathways are. Again, we have the pockets, and we see the pockets right now. So through this baseline process, we've identified the pockets. Now how do we link everything together and go through that evaluation process of improving, revising, until we get the product that we want. So.
Sounds great. Okay. Anything else to add about real world learning or the experiences we're hoping to get for our kids?
I'm just super excited. I mean, I think that we are seeing that not every kiddo is college bound, and so we are providing that support and that knowledge for all kids to be successful, college or career. And we want to start it early. That's what I like about this. We're starting it in kindergarten and just keep talking about it all the way up.
Right. all the way through the process. Very good.
And I think for our kids, probably the biggest excitement that I find is that kids that have no idea, there may be jobs out there that haven't even been developed yet. There may be jobs that we have no idea how to train them for. I know one of our students graduated a couple of years ago and said he wanted to be a marine biologist. Well, I doubt that we have any experts in that field in our area. Maybe we do, but
Right.
it would be nice if we could have a path for him or the students like him that will be able to say, these are the areas that you need to be exposed to along the way so that you're prepared for that next piece in your life. And so I just think for kids, this is a better process for them to get to what passion they have and tying their passion to their occupation. I think of myself as a kid. I think a lot of kids, hey, I want to be a pilot. Well, how do I do that? And there was never a process for that. It was, hey, you've got to take this many English classes, this many math classes. There was never a tie-in to how does that specifically align with my passion so my passion can become my profession.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you both for the information. You will begin seeing a lot more about real-world learning as we move forward through this process. It'll be a process that we'll be engaging the community with more and looking for your assistance and your help. So stay tuned. And if you have any questions about real-world learning after watching this presentation, please feel free to email us, Paul Minching, Christy Meeks, or Jill Filer at harrisonvilleschools.org. We can try to get you that information. Thank you for joining us.